All right, so out here in Colorado, it's getting to be about winter time. So it's time to winterize the RV. This is actually not a very complicated process, and we're gonna try to simplify it as much as possible. Behind me, I got my 2022 Winnebago Spirit 22R, also known as a Winnie Minnie 22R. And so the process is pretty simple. You can do it a couple of ways, right? You can winterize with RV antifreeze, that pink stuff, or you can blow them out, or you can blow them out and then put antifreeze to be 100% sure that there's no fluid whatsoever or no water left in your lines. So we're gonna evaluate both methods here. Blowing out, I feel like, is a little bit easier, especially when it comes to setting them back up again. You don't have to try to wash out that fluid, but we're gonna go through both methods just to kind of show you guys how that works or how I do it in my own RV. So check it out. Okay, so some tools that you're gonna need. One specialty item is gonna be this 1.5-inch socket right here, and you'll need this for the water heater system. You'll need a screwdriver and a wrench of some sort. But in my garage area right here off the RV in the back, you can see this is the water system over here. This is your water pump, and you've got your drain point right over there. Let's move this antifreeze out of the way. But this is also the antifreeze that I was talking about. I've got a couple of different lights in here so we can see, but this is the drain point right here. And so when you open it up, like so, water starts draining out. And you can see, if it wasn't so dark, you would see it draining out onto my garage floor right there. But that's the first thing you've got to do. Open that up so that it drains. And then over here, I've already loosened this, but this plugs into the filter or into the filter end of the compressor. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Get a light over here. So in here, this is your water pump, and on this side, this is the inlet where the water comes in from. So the water will drain from the tank, and it runs through this line over at the bottom right there. And if you follow that, it comes right here. And this is usually set up right into that pump right there. All right, so you got to loosen that, and when you loosen that, that's a 1/2-inch threading right there. So when you loosen that, you pull that out like so, and then at that point, you can then screw in a fixture such as this. So this is a 1/2-inch fixture that I bought. It's just a shock bite 1/2 by 1/2 FNTP. That's what I got for mine. Yours may be slightly different, but so this hose is slightly smaller than what you would want. I think this is a 1/8, but you would just need the same thing, a 1/2-inch diameter hose. So it can be 1/2 and 1/2, which means 1/2 interior dimension and 1/2 outside. It doesn't matter. What matters is the interior dimension B, which is the ID. Like if you look at a hose, it'll have 2 dimensions on it. Let me see if I can find the other end of this. Yep, and the sticker's still there, so that's perfect. So this one is actually 1/2-inch OD and 3/8 ID. So OD is outer dimension and ID is inner dimension or something like that. But this has to do with how thick the hose is on the outside, and this has to do with how wide it is on the inside. For example, because my fixture is 1/2-inch, I should have ideally had one that says 1/2-inch and 1/2-inch or something like that, right? Otherwise, out, connect another hose fitting, which is 1/2-inch, which is this right here. Run it all the way into your RV antifreeze. Okay, don't use regular antifreeze or antifreeze, that green stuff. You want to use this pink stuff. Once that's done, you go inside. All right. Switch this to bypass mode by lifting this up. Usually when it's in running mode, it runs alongside the pipe. All right, so lift it up, and that's in bypass mode. Open up the drains right here, the low point drain, so that it can drain some of the water that's caught in the lines. Okay. All right, so the next step is Hopefully you guys can see this. I kind of staged the light over here, but you want to open this. This is where your water heater is. And so you pop that open, and there'll be an anode. You're going to need to take this anode out. Before you do that, though, you want to release pressure by pulling this. All right? And then once that's released, you want to put that back down and then get your socket, that 1 inch and 1/16, and use that to remove that. Okay. Pop that open. And you can see mine is still about 1 inch in diameter, so this doesn't need to be replaced yet. Over time, this will get eaten away by rust and contaminants, but this is still doing good, and you will have to replace it. So you want to check on it, every time you winterize to make sure this is still good. All right, so now that that's done and that's clear, depending on how much water you have in here, you could have a real big mess. So make sure you're doing this outside or somewhere you don't mind getting wet. So now that that's done and that's completely drained out, you have the option of leaving this out like so and then just closing it. But I like to actually just put it and screw it back in so that next season it's ready to go. So I'll put this back in place and then we'll head on to the next item on the list. Now, some RVs don't need that anode because they've got aluminum tanks. This here has a steel tank. So anytime you've got a steel tank, you're going to need one of those, or a tank that corrodes. So that's the purpose of that. So at this point, we'd be able to actually blow out the sprinklers. So I'm going to show you guys how I would do that. So what I've done is that I've set my water pressure or my air pressure up to about 40 psi, 45 psi. It's going to vary depending on your model of RV. So once that's set up, I've run a hose all the way over here, and this is the city fill where you would plug in if you were camping to city water. So I've got that set up with about 30 or 40 psi of pressure on this. So I'll go inside now, all right, with that pressure on the lines. So you want to open all these faucets. So you want to go through the whole RV and just open all your faucets and let the water drain out until air comes out. Same thing with the toilet. Just air coming out of that. Then we want to come to the low point drains right here and just flip them up temporarily. This water is going to drain out. Close that up. That's going to just empty those as well. All right, so at this point, we've ran air through all the lines. I turned on the faucets in the bathroom, the shower, the toilet, the kitchen here, and all the water is out of the system. All right, so I'll come over here and I'll disconnect my air line. And this is one of those fittings that you'll have to buy if you're going to use the blowout method. And I'll try to put that in the description here so you guys know what that is. But I'm going to remove that now. Okay, plug that in. So at this point, if you are one of those people that just use that method, you would be done, all right? But I'm going to run through the RV that we've hooked up outside at this moment, now that everything is kind of cleaned out, and we'll run that RV through all the lines until it runs pink through the lines, and then at that point, we're going to know that we're completely cleaned out and everything is good to go. So we're going to run the RV fluid through the system, all right? So after we turn the pump on, we'll open the faucets, and both hot and cold until they run through with RV. Antifreeze, same thing in the bathroom. Antifreeze, antifreeze, and then I'll unhook this so it doesn't spray all over the place. And same thing, run hot and cold. just like that. And like that. So that's good. And then you open the toilet, do the same thing with that. Okay, just leave a little bit in there. All right, that's good. And so those are all our faucets. They're all running pink, so that means that that fluid is all the way through the whole system. So the last point is this low point drain. We'll do the same thing with that. I can hear it dripping on the ground. Dripping on the ground. So that's now set up. At this point, we can turn the pump off. Yeah, that basically concludes that. And then you want to make sure to go back outside. And remove that fitting that you plugged in right here. And you want to be careful when you do this. A bunch of water or antifreeze is likely to pour out of there, so you want to put a rag of some sort underneath here to catch that. Otherwise you're going to make a mess. And you can also do this whole process via the inside, and this is the mattress right here. So if you folded the mattress up there, you could also do that up there and never even have to undo this panel. So unscrew that. Okay, and then we can put this water line back on there in preparation for summer 2023. Okay, so you just want to tighten this, make sure it's nice and snug. If you guys have watched my old videos when I first picked this up, there was a bunch of water leaking. I didn't know where it was coming from, but it was actually coming from this fitting not being on tight enough. So you want to make sure that's on there snug. Not too snug because it's got a washer inside it, a rubber washer, so you don't want to just jack that up, but make sure it's nice and snug. And then at that point, fit this whole mess of wires back in here. Which is very interesting that you got some of these connections right here and electrical connections with your water line, but you know, whatever. And then you want to put your panel back on. Screw that back into place and you're done. So the next thing you're likely to see with the RV is installing that Starlink RV internet system that I just got. I think it's made by Elon Musk, but it's supposed to give you internet no matter where you are, as long as you've got a clear view of the sky, etc, etc. So we're going to set it up, test it out here in Colorado, see what we can get out of it, and hopefully that works. I've tried the mobile spots, I've tried, you know, the cell phone or the actual individual hotspots with a booster antenna. I've tried all those things, and honestly, it's kind of not the greatest because the boosting only works as long as you've got signal. Out here in Colorado, there's places where you don't have signal at all, which is absolutely amazing. You don't even have to go that far out and you would actually run out of signal. So anyways, I'm hoping that makes a difference, but that'll also be part of the next video. So that is about it for this RV right now. We got it winterized. We're ready to do some dry camping still in the RV. We're not going to stop camping yet, but hopefully I'll capture some footage while I'm out there. I actually try to actually relax when I'm out there and not try to film videos because it ends up being just, the whole thing ends up being just about that and takes away from the actual relaxing part of it. But hopefully this is helpful to you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.